going on with y'all boys? Welcome back to another episode of Ray and Kyle Everything Sports Podcast. Today we got our updated top 10 after a few surprising matchups last week. So who are we starting out with number 10, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, a big weekend, a lot of movement, a lot of big games as well. So for my number 10 spot, dropping 2 spots, I'm going with the Buffalo Bills. Now, I wouldn't be opposed to them dropping out of the top 10 completely, but, I mean, they still have so much talent, and they still have Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs and all these pieces, and they still are a little banged up. That's still no excuse to lose to a terrible Patriots team. But, I mean, Josh Allen has just been turning the ball over way too much. They put up 3 points in the first half against a bad Patriots team. I understand they still have Bill Belichick and they still have that guru on the other side of the ball. But, I mean, there's no excuse to lose to this team as well. So, for my number 10, I have the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I think that team has a lot of potential. I mean, they're beating good teams and then struggling against bad teams is not a thing you normally see. So I think in the NFL, everybody's good, so everybody has a chance to beat anybody in any given week. But I think we need to see this Bills team start to show us a little bit more consistency going forward.
For my number 9 spot, going up 1 spot, I'm going with the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, they did come off a bye. That's kind of strange for them moving up a spot. But I think with just how poorly Buffalo's been playing, I think they deserve to move up a spot. And they have a big game as well this week against the 49ers. So I think they have a chance to move up even higher. Coming off that bye, that's just giving Joe Burrow another week to get healthier. Them just continue to get that chemistry going back. And like I said, this team is known for starting off slow. So I think they'll really start to turn it around coming out of that bye. So I got the Bengals at number 9.
Yeah, I think they have all of the weapons that they need to be able to be an elite team. Everybody thought they would start off slow, but they're taking a little bit longer than everybody thought to start really hitting their stride. So going to need to see a lot from them, especially this week going up against the shaky 49ers team.
Dropping 2 spots at my number 8 team, I've got the Miami Dolphins. This Dolphins team, the teams they played played and won against have a combined record of 8-25. So they're not beating good teams. And when they do stack up against these good teams, they lose it, and it's not particularly close. So I'm not really sure where I can rank them. I mean, yes, they have that explosive offense, and yes, they're still good. We just don't know how good they are. So I really need to see them start to get quality wins on their schedule before I can even think about moving them back up to the top 5.
I think having the Dolphins at 8 is a little harsh. I think that they've shown us a lot of good things against a lot of decent to not so great teams. And then they only have 2 losses to 2 of the best teams in the NFL. One team last week that I don't know that I wouldn't say it wasn't particularly close because I think it was a 7-point game going in the fourth quarter, and they got shut out in the fourth quarter. So I think that's a big deal that they didn't put up any points in the fourth quarter. But a great Eagles team last week that I think actually was a pretty competitive game. So I like this Dolphins team. I like their offense. Just need to see a little bit more consistency going from a bad team to a good team with them. But hopefully they can hit a little bit of a stride going towards the middle of the season.
Dropping 4 spots for me. I was really high on this team last week, and they disappointed me to say the least. At number 7, I have the Detroit Lions. This was a big deal. I mean, I thought this team was really good, and I still think they're good. I wouldn't panic. The first thing I have on my notes is don't panic because they've been playing really well. They still probably have the best win out of anybody beating that Chiefs team. I understand they're right without Kelce and Chris Jones, but we understand now how good that Chiefs team is. So they still have a good win in the Chiefs team. They still beat some pretty good teams as well. I think they maybe just kind of ran out of juice. I mean, this Ravens team is really good. So, I mean, I can understand why they lost, but to get blown out like that's very disappointing, especially with how big of a game this was. So I have the Detroit Lions at number 7.
Yeah, this was a very bad loss for the Lions. I mean, getting blown out by over 30 points to a team that I think everybody had you higher than them is not a good look by any means. I mean, absolutely destroyed by this Ravens team. But don't get me wrong, they didn't get beat by the Cardinals or the Bears or anybody. Sure. This Ravens team is really, really good. So it's a quality loss, even though the loss was by a bigger deficit than I would have liked for it to be if they're going to lose the game. But this Lions team, I still really believe in their offense. Their defense is really good, even though they didn't really show it this week, allowing 38 points. But this Lions team did put up over 40 points a couple weeks ago without their number 1 receiver. Jared Goff is still playing. He's still balling. I think this Lions team will be okay. I just don't need to see any more losses like that loss last week.
Dropping 2 spots, and not because they didn't win or because they played bad, just simply because I think some teams outplayed them. At number 6, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, they're coming off a good win at a New Orleans team that has a solid defense with a semi-hurt Trevor Lawrence. He played well. He's only getting better. I mean, that guy's legit. He's a top 5 quarterback to me. and their defense is playing extremely well. They're only allowing 17 points per game this season. So I'm a big believer in this Jags team. I just feel like some of these other teams really proved themselves and really played very well this past Sunday. So I have the Jacksonville Jaguars at number 6.
I think this is a little bit high for the Jaguars. I've never really been too high on them. They barely squeaked by a Bills team over in London, which was a huge home game for them, being there a whole week or more than a week. And then now going up against a Saints team that I do not like at all, and barely squeaking by them. I just think this Jacksonville Jaguars team is not as great as people think, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I think they're starting to struggle more than people think, but I guess we'll get to see going forward.
Moving up 2 spots, at number 5, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. This Eagles team really proved something to me this past Sunday night. Beating a good Dolphins team pretty handily, honestly. It wasn't as close as a scores team. I mean, Hurts is the biggest concern for this team. And if Hurts is the big concern, I think that's a good thing. Their defense is playing very well as well. They're only allowing 17 points per game. They still have these elite weapons: A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Smith, and Swifts. I mean, they're a really balanced offense. They're able to run the ball. They're able to control clock and eat clock when they need to. I mean, that brotherly shove is the most unstoppable play maybe in NFL history. I mean, it really is ridiculous. And they're the only team that can do it. They still have that elite offensive line, and they've got a great head coach as well. So I really think this Eagles team is trending up. And I think they proved something to me last Sunday night when they beat that good Dolphins team.
I actually think this is extremely low for the Eagles. I would have the Eagles nowhere outside of the top 2. I think you can make a case for number 1 for them. I don't think there's 4 teams in the NFL that's better than them. I think this Eagles team, don't get me wrong, I wasn't as high on them in the beginning, but Jalen Hurts wasn't playing his best, but I think Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback in the NFC. And I think he's starting to play like it. That offense is really good. That defense is really good. And now they have quality wins versus the Dolphins, who is a really good team who I like a lot. Plus, if you look back, I like the Bucs a lot. They beat the Bucs. They played the Rams. They beat the Rams. They beat a Vikings team who just beat a 49ers team who we had at number 1 last week. So to me, this Eagles team is the best in the NFC at the moment, as much as I hate to say it because I don't like the Eagles. But I think they are, and I think you can make a case for the best in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely make that case, but I'm not super high on the Dolphins. I mean, I think they're a good team, but I try to see them be more consistent, and I want Jalen Hurts to start playing a little better. For my number 4 spot, moving up 5 spots with a huge win, the biggest win of the day, Sunday, of the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, like I said, they're coming off a dominating win versus the Lions. Lamar Jackson he's doing something right now. He's throwing the ball exceptionally well, and he's also running the ball as well. You know, he's not only just looking to escape and run, but he's looking like when he skips out the pocket, he's also looking down the field at his weapons that he has. I mean, Odell Beckham's kind of starting to turn him back the hands of time. He's looking well. Flowers is looking awesome as well. And their tight end, Mark Andrews, he's a top 5 tight end. They've got the weapons. Their defense is playing very, very well also. They're allowing 8.7 points per game in their last 4 games. I mean, this Baltimore Ravens team is really starting to look good. They were kind of shaky to open up the year, just very inconsistent. But I do think that Lamar Jackson and his OC are really starting to get on the same page, and he's playing great right now. And he's definitely up there in the MVP race.
Yeah, I actually like this Ravens team a lot too. I think the biggest thing for them that we haven't had them as high as we do now is the injuries, but they're starting to get a little bit more healthy, and Lamar Jackson is really starting to ball. I mean, 357 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions, which is a big thing for him. It's really good to see him developing as a passer. But then you look at who he's passing to, and you see that 9 players on that Ravens team had a reception, and no player had more than 5 receptions. I mean, it's really hard to cover a team that spreads the ball around that well. Plus, you have the running game. You have them going over 140 yards rushing combined as a team. It's a really dangerous system. And then you look at the defensive side of the ball, holding one of the best offenses in the league to only 6 points. Really like this Ravens team.
For my number 3 spot, moving up 2 spots, I have the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, my whole thing is if Dak Prescott can just bottle up how he did, I know it was a long time ago because they had a bye week this week, but if he can just replicate what he did against the Chargers that Sunday night, I mean, this Dallas Cowboys team can really be a force to reckon with. We know what their defense brings to the table. We know the weapons that they have. Yes, their head coach is a bit of a concern, but Dan Quinn, their defensive coordinator, he's a top 3 defense coordinator in all of football right now. And their defense is also a top 5 defense in all of football right now. And they have all the weapons in the world. And, I mean, just based off how Dak played the last time we saw him take the field, I mean, it was one of his better games in recent memory. So I really like this Dallas Cowboys team. And if Dak Prescott can just continue to not turn the ball over and continue to play well and get the ball to his playmakers and play like a veteran quarterback and play like one of the top quarterbacks that he is, then I think he'll be all right.
Yeah, I like this Cowboys team a lot. The biggest thing for me is their quarterback struggle. This team, I love their defense, but their defense can't be on 100 every game. We saw that going against the 49ers. The thing is, without the Cowboys defense having 4 or 5 turnovers a game, can Dak Prescott lead them to a win? Can Dak Prescott play from behind? Can Dak Prescott play like a veteran star quarterback in a close game without turning the ball over and being able to lead his team in the fourth quarter to a win? So far, I haven't been able to see that from Dak. I mean, we saw that in games that they weren't leading. He struggles big time. He throws picks. He throws interceptions all over the field, especially in the second half whenever they're really, really meaningful. We need Dak to hold on to the ball. We need Dak to be able to lead that offense even whenever his defense is not at their best. So seeing him being able to win a close game against the Chargers team was really, really good for the Cowboys team. Would like to see their defense start to show more again. They're going to look to a little bit of a sleep last 3 weeks now going off the bye. But would like to see that Cowboys team, that Cowboys defense start to really revamp and get back in that early season form that defense was in. Now paired with this offense who's starting to hit a little bit of a stride.
For my number 2 team, what I've been saying for the longest is finally starting to take effect, and the ball is starting to get moving. I have the San Francisco 49ers dropping 1 spot. There's no need to panic because their stars, Deebo and Trent Williams, it's not long-term injuries. So their mediocre quarterback will get his all-star team back around him. It's hard to put this team outside of the top 3 just based on their roster because their quarterback is obviously not that good. Brock Purdy in the first 5 weeks had a 9-0 TD to INT ratio. The last 2 weeks, the last 2 close games, the last 2 games where he needed to make plays, a 2-3 TD to INT ratio. We see what happens when he's forced to make plays, when he's forced to be the big dog, when he's forced to be the force multiplier. He can't get it done. He didn't have a bad game Monday night by any means. He actually had a decent game up until it mattered. And when it mattered, what did he do? They get the ball back, terrible turnover, trying to get it to Jennings. Then their defense makes a stop. He gets the ball back again, and an even worse interception, trying to hit Jennings again over the middle. So that's my biggest concern for this team. And if they don't get to where they want to go or where they need to go or where they should go, which is the Super Bowl, and probably win the Super Bowl, it'll be because they're quarterback. So the reason why I'm not panicking that much is because I knew this already. I knew what he was, but now other people are starting to see it. So the reason why I'm not worried is because none of their all-stars, the top players for them are going to come back eventually. I think Deebo has a week or 2 more, and Trent Williams could play Sunday. So I'm not worried for them because I knew what happened. So that's why I have the 49ers at number 2.
That I have to completely disagree with everything you said. I think Brock Purdy is the second best quarterback in the NFC. I don't know that it's particularly close to a lot of the other quarterbacks. I think that this loss was actually really good for Brock Purdy. Don't get me wrong. He's only been playing in the NFL for roughly a year. If we take the games that he didn't play in the beginning of last year. So still basically at the end of his rookie year. If we're going to go from starting for the 49ers to now, I think he's just at the end of his rookie year, even though you could say he's halfway through his second year. But still a young guy, no matter which way you look at it. And I think getting to see that you don't always have to make the big play. You can live to see another down. I think that's a big thing for him. 2 interceptions at the end of the fourth. Don't get me wrong, wasn't good. But if you look at the other 3.5 quarters, he was balling. He was the reason they were in that game, and I think he's going to be the reason they're going to end up going to a deep Super Bowl run. I think this is going to be a good learning moment from him, and I think this is a good time to lose a close game, good time to make those mistakes. I think they're just going to continue to vault up. But I think this is still a high spot for this 49ers. Even defensively, I mean, we saw their defense couldn't come up with some stops like they should be able to. So I think this 49ers team maybe isn't as great as we think, but I definitely do not think it's the quarterback's fault.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're not as good as we think because their quarterback's starting to, have to make plays.
No, their quarterback is just now starting to get a little bit of experience under his belt. As soon as that's the one thing he's missing. He's got all the talent in the world. He just needs a little bit of experience. So as soon as he gets that experience, everybody's going to have him in their top 3.
He's a lot more than experience. But
he's starting to get there.
One spot, the unquestioned, and I think they will remain here for the rest of the year, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. They got the best quarterback maybe ever in football. He's definitely the most talented. He's definitely the best right now. There's no question about that. and they're coming off probably their best game of the year, just dominating a Chargers team. The first half was a little shaky. I was like, wow, is the Chiefs' defense really going to get exposed? No. They gave up 17 in the first half, and they ended the game giving up 17 points. Their defense is top 3 in the league, and I was saying from the jump how good their defense looks. It's even better than I thought they looked. Their defense only giving up 13 points per game. That's the whole season. And taking into account also a pick six that wasn't on them as well, the first game of the year. But like I said, I mean, their offense and their defense is rolling, and I think they are playing the best football, maybe besides the Ravens, out of anybody. So I love the Chiefs at number 1.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs have finally reclaimed their spot at number 1. I don't know that if the 49ers wouldn't have beat the Vikings, the score would have been flipped, that I still wouldn't have put the Chiefs over the 49ers.
Yeah, I still would have had them on.
This Chiefs team is really starting to hit a stride. Patrick Mahomes is just disgusting. I mean, he's had a couple not so great games, and then he bounces back this week and has 424 yards, 4 touchdowns, and goes 32 of 42. I mean, it's just Mahomes. I don't think anyone can put him anything lower than second at this point in all time. I mean, just what he's done in this short amount of time. Obviously, he's got a stiff competition for number 1, but to me, you had to put in 1 or 2, and I think that's the main reason for this Chiefs team. I mean, we've seen a lot of shifting. I mean, one thing stayed consistent is that he has Travis Kelce, but as far as his running backs and his wide receivers go, in the last couple of years, I mean, we've seen a lot of shifting. Him losing Hill, that running back room has been shifting a lot, but one thing stayed consistent is that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL right now, and I think he's going to continue to lead them for years to come. I think they did great locking him in for 10 years, and I think that this Chiefs team is going to be yet again another Super Bowl favorite and have a very good Super Bowl run. And they're my Super Bowl picks right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think they had to be. But we appreciate y'all watching, and y'all tune in next time.